And welcome to Homeschool Connect Expo. During our live interview sessions here in the month of July, we are July 7th. So we're almost to the middle of July. I can't believe it already that time is flying by, but we are in our online learning fair all month of July, where not online learning, language arts, the language arts fair all month of July. June was their online learning, but yeah, we're highlighting companies and groups and individuals that are doing stuff in the language arts and interviewing them. And today we have Bookshark on, and Bookshark's been with Homeschool Connect Expo for a very long time, and we've reviewed the products, and we've given away some items and everything else. And today we have Lynn, and we're going to bring her on and have her tell us a little bit more about Bookshark. But before we do that, some housekeeping things. This is live right now if you're watching it. There's two places on Facebook, and then there's YouTube. And if you're watching this, give it a thumbs up. All the links are down below to the exhibitor booth, and the exhibitor booth has tons of videos and information and all kinds of goodies there. And then link out to their website, and that's where you get all the rest of the information there for you. So, but you can ask questions, and all those questions come in, and I'll ask them for you. So let's bring Lynn on and have her introduce herself and let us get to know Bookshark a little bit more. So how are you doing, Lynn? Thanks for being here.
I'm great. Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
Awesome. And we love Bookshark. Bookshark's been with Homeschool Connect Expo for quite some time now. And but this is I think, the first time we've had the ability to chat with you and learn more about Bookshark. And there's a ton of brand new people, and there's all kinds of stuff. So why don't you introduce yourself and then let us know a little bit more about Bookshark.
All right. My name is Lynn Woodley, and I am the product expert and charter school liaison with Bookshark. I've been with Bookshark now about 6 years, but before that I was with the mother company, and I was a homeschool mama and a consultant with them for 14 years. So been with the company now 20 years and love the product, love the methodology, love the philosophy of how it teaches and what it teaches and how it helps your children to learn. And so I've been with them, and my reach is parents. My outreach is parents, helping them to be successful in this journey. So I'm here to help you and share with what our program is. We are a literature-based curriculum. We have a literature-based reading with history portion, and then our language arts is a reading portion as well. A language arts is that deep reading and a natural approach to language arts. And then we have our science, which is now following the NGSS alignment. So that's really cool that all those experiments align with all of that, and you meet and have wonderful, wonderful experiments and things like that. But our language arts is the natural approach to learning. And I can go deeper into that right now if you want me to, or I can wait and let it go on to be.
Yeah, let's go a little deeper on what that actually means. That way people understand, what that approach is.
Right. So it's not really the typical way to learn language arts. It really is that natural approach. And that is by what you read, is what you're going to be writing on. It's what you're going to be doing your copy work on. It's what you're going to be doing your creative expression on. It was a methodology that Dr. Ruth Beechuk brought through and wrote about. It's actually how Benjamin Franklin learned. It's you just write it, and you read it, and you rewrite it, and you read it. And so from what you're seeing when you're reading your book to what you're then seeing when you're doing your copy work has already been what you've read, and then you just keep going with that. So the mechanics of language are learned by sight, by rereading, by rewriting, and taking that all in, because when you're doing that copy work or dictation, you are also seeing again what you've already heard or already read with your eyes. So it's really a great approach. It's different though, and some people it scares them, but truly just let it work. Let it do what it does, and it just produces these amazing writers. And I've seen that with literally thousands of kids throughout the last 20 years. It's just a beautiful way to learn and to teach.
Yeah, and the more I get to know, the mechanics of learning and the mechanics of really, reading and writing, language arts, this is a very powerful way. There's a lot of things going on inside. It's not just reading and it's not just writing,
Right.
and it just seems like there's a deep foundation mechanical part of learning that's happening when you're going through that process.
Exactly. And once we get in the lower levels, we have 5 different language arts pieces because all the kids at those younger ages are at different levels. So we have those flexible pieces that go with our history pieces. Once we get to level D and above, the history and the language arts intertwines because they're really starting to get on the same page. All the kids will finally catch up with the reading ability, but then they're more on the same page. So also, in addition to all those wonderful language arts pieces, they're also learning history. So it's all interwoven. And so it really does create that logical and critical thinking that you really do want in your children. You want them to be able to critically think about something that is given them to read, and something that they then have an opinion on because they're getting it from 3 or 4 different sources, different authors that are writing. And so it really opens up their mind. And that's what our language and language arts has to be. It has to open up their mind and give them the ability to think and process, which
So we had a Wi-Fi issue locked up, but how Lynn is coming back. I'm sure the Wi-Fi will jump back in here pretty soon. How that's happening and how that's working on, and she jumps back in here. Let me show you the exhibitor booth, and I kind of show you through kind of really what Bookshark's all about. And the cool thing about that is when we're going through the product testing and a product review, the really cool part I liked about it was it's literature based, but then it's 4-day, which is a really cool thing. And we'll ask Lynn when she comes back on here about why 4-day on there, because I know we've had that question before, and I really like why that is. And then faith neutral, to where it's not just one thing or another. There is but a grounding faith part of it on there. But if you go to the exhibitor booth, the links are down below. You can go in and you can see videos. Request a free curriculum guide, because this is a wide range of everything that they offer on there. And so they have, like, again, what she was saying was reading with history, language arts, science, and then math. But everybody loves it. Everybody that I've spoken with, and we've going through the product reviews and everything else last year, they absolutely love it. Oh, Lynn's back. Let's bring her on. Hey, there we go.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't know where you got cut off, but it just wouldn't come back. So
yeah, just a glitch right there.
yeah.
On there, I was showing everybody, just to let you know, I was showing everybody the exhibitor booth and kind of going through one of the some of the videos and some of the information. And what what I was talking about is what I popped out at me going through the product and going through everything last year was the 4-day process.
Right.
Is there a reason why you have a 4-day process?
Yes, the 4-day is a really excellent piece and an excellent way to teach. And that is because we don't want you to feel like you're always behind. And if we had a 5-day schedule, you would never be able to do those field trips. You'd never be able to do a co-op. You'd never be able to go and do any extracurricular activities, which there's a lot of. When I was homeschooling, I organized a lot of different things. We were in 4-H. I started a co-op, and we had 104 students in that. I would organize groups to go to live theater, and we'd be able to go do that. We went to the coast and did the Hatfield Marine Science Center, which they got to do science labs. We wouldn't have been able to do that had we had a 5-day schedule.
Yeah.
And it's not for us to make you guys feel like you're behind all the time. And I talk about that in the workshop that I and that is to say, you've got 144 book days. We're a very robust program, and it's a very, very wonderful, rich program. But we do go through 30 to 50 books a year with your kids. And so we don't want you to feel like you can't do anything else, because there's a lot more to education than just the book time. So that leaves you with 36 other days to be able to do those wonderful experiments. Also, it gives you the time, like there are sometimes we have at language arts, in our language arts pieces, the creative expression. It sometimes takes everybody just a little bit longer to do those things, because you really have to think creatively, and it's not a spot on thing where, okay, go write this. I can't ever turn on like that. I have to think about it and process it. So if you give your children the extra day to do the writing, or the science experiments, or the lap books, or the hands-on pieces, that gives you that freedom to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I heard on it. The people who have used Bookshark, they love the thought, love how it fits in, because a lot of homeschoolers, and we did the same thing. We did the 4-day, and then we either field trip or did something or catch up or whatever. And those days are so important. And those are definitely some days that our kids remembered, because they got to do hands-on things and learn, hands-on, while they just learn in the books. And I was just talking to someone last week, and he did the whole, how about socialization?
Yes.
And I'm like, let me tell you, when you do a 4-day run, but just like what you're talking about, all the experiences, all the things they went through, all the people they met, all the people, there's socialization. That's not really a thing anymore.
No, and I don't think it ever was a thing. I think it's the only question that people who don't understand homeschooling ask, because they don't know what else to ask. It's really an uneducated, unknowledgeable question to ask, which is fine. It's just that we need to learn how to educate them to understand. Because I had that question, and it was interesting because the setting, my son was 13 at the time. We went to be with grandparents and to play, and so they separated us out onto bocce ball teams, and after it, they came to me and said, oh my goodness, he can talk to us about anything. And all these people were retired people, right? So then we go to a potluck right after that with all of them. And I found out later that a lot of these retired people were educators, and one was a superintendent. And he was talking to this retired superintendent guy, and he goes, so, what are you learning in school this year? And so he starts telling them that. Well, that year I happened to be teaching he and 4 other boys Latin. And so we were doing that, and he goes, and I am learning Latin. And the guy says, what school is teaching you Latin? And he says, well, my mama, I homeschool. And he flipped his head over to me and he says, well, how are you going to socialize him? And I'm thinking,
what are we doing here?
Seriously, you guys an hour ago said, oh my goodness, he can talk to us about anything. So I truly believe it is a question that they ask because they don't know what else to ask, because they are so, I don't want to use the word dumbfounded, but they are so shocked at the possibility that this child or these children can be educated and well adjusted. So it's one of those questions that, it's not a piece that is really a true thing, and so it's interesting. It's just one of those questions because they don't know how else to ask anything else. So your kids are really, truly blessed to have this education piece, because it really does give them logical and critical thinking, which is what employers need. So when you're preparing your kids for when they are growing up, and a lot of kids don't get that when they're in a public setting. They don't know how to think critically or logically. So that's again where our language arts ties that all in, and that literature-based learning ties that all in. I have to tell you another thing too. In the state of Oregon, which is where I live and homeschooled, we have to test third, fifth, 8th, and 10th grade. So if you're homeschooling, that's what you just have to do. And every state is different. So third grade, I didn't even open them because I knew what I was using was really good. The program, it was just solid. It's solid. It truly is. Fifth grade got the best of me. I opened it, and my son was 11 at the time. And he was an average kid, well-rounded, smart, but not all that. I mean, he just wasn't a brain surgeon, and so, but people would tell me, oh, he's really smart. No, he's just normal. He's normal. He's a normal 11-year-old boy, played sports. He was really good at all of what he ever tried, but he wasn't all that. He tested at 11th grade and above on everything. And I don't take that to what I did. I take it to what our curriculum did. I've looked at, when he was in college, he's now almost 26 next month. He'll be 26. But I looked at some of his written work when he was in college. Oh my goodness, he was far better than I ever was in college. I had to go through life to get some of that experience and wealth of being able to write well. And that's, I truly take that to the curriculum. And so because it is that natural approach, some people don't understand how to approach it. You just have to do it. Just do it and trust in it and believe in it. And it does work. And that's from my own experience, but also from thousands of other kids who've used it. It does work. It's just an awesome way to get that in. And get that.
I think you hit the nail on the head is the critical thinking that your system creates. And I the same way with you. I had all kinds of bumps and bruises along the way to get to that point and to get to there. And now with this curriculum and homeschooling and everything else, that there's these kids are getting it. And I think what people are missing when they're just trying to get their kid to college so they can get a really good job is they miss out on that critical thinking process, especially in the public school realm is they're missing that part of it. And okay, they can memorize and they get to college and they can memorize, that's great, but there's not a lot of jobs out there that just want you to memorize stuff.
Right.
They want you to think, and it really hits I don't know how bad it is out there, but here we are. I mean, restaurants are closing early. There's a shortage of people who are wanting to work or working.
Yes.
And when I talk to these businesses, when I speak to them, they're saying, well, we can find the people, but they need trained like never before.
Yeah.
They need training. And we don't have training and process, and so these kids are coming in, or even college kids are coming in, and I saw one that's literally spinning in circles. They didn't know what to do. They were like literally spinning in circles in front of me. I'm like, you're making me dizzy. Just pick something. Just pick something. But they don't have that critical thinking.
No.
Where they just know, okay, you just got to tell me what to do. And I'll do it, and then I'll do this, and I'll do that, and he's like, we can't train them. We can't train. We don't have it in place, and so we're having to close up early, or we can't hire as many people, and so we're hitting that thing where my kids are 19, 21, and 23. They decided not to go to college. The oldest one did. She went to Liberty. But the other two, they just jumped right into workforce, and they were all rose to the top. I mean, very quickly. And the 19-year-old, he's like third in the company now. He rose so fast, and the owner's like, where do we get more like you?
Exactly.
He's like,
I think that's kind of that's kind of one of the main points that we need to make with these new families who are coming into homeschooling, is that you are building solid character in your children, and you are bonding as a family, and they're seeing how that structure goes. And you will also see them when you use our program, you'll see them play the history that they're learning about. So you know that they're getting it. And it isn't a memorization of a place, a time, and a person. It's why that happened and how that happened, and all the pieces and all the different perspectives of that, or several perspectives, not all the perspectives, but you get all of that with your kids. And I do a group on Facebook, and it's to help these first time people. And the group, that we had for the last year, I tell them, I say, your kids will play this history. And one gal, because we had a celebration for them last week for making it through the year, and she says, when you said that, Lynn, a year ago, I was skeptical. I thought there's no way that will happen. And she said, it actually happened. Yeah. So that's the beauty of homeschooling, is number one, you know what they're being taught. You know the different things. And I know that out there in the world today, there's all kinds of different theories that are being tossed around that might be taught to your kids, and using words that sound good. But if you look at the depth of what it is that they really want to do to change the thought process of your child, you probably wouldn't want to be in that setting, and maybe that's why some of you are here in this situation saying, I need to consider this homeschool journey. So finding out what curriculum you want to use and all that, and finding out what you want to do as a family is just so important. But you will know what they are learning, and that's the great thing. And you will give them a solid foundation, especially if you use a curriculum that's already put together. That was one of the things that years ago I had a workshop that was, how do you choose and what do you choose? And then I would give, of course, what this curriculum was and how it would be able to, but giving them the options. And several of them were teachers that were deciding to homeschool. And they told me then it takes 3 to 5 years to create a good curriculum. So my passion all these years has been to help parents not burn out. When you're homeschooling, you're schooling out of the curriculum that you're using. So how can you develop and coordinate and bring together and make it build 1 year on the next year on the next year? You have life already. You have your own personal time that you need to take care of. You have your family's relationships you need to take care of. You got bills and groceries and laundry and all of that. So why try to put it all together yourselves? Why not use a curriculum that is already put together, it has been tried and true, and has constantly had updates and working on it. We don't let it sit and go stagnant. So the methodology is one piece that you need to look at, but just remember, don't burn out. Don't burn yourself out thinking you can be eclectic, because it's not worth it, because you're trying to get your children educated. And that's kind of the point. So I know that's not language arts based, but I'm sorry, Sam, I got off on my soapbox.
The burnout is real,
Yes.
Some people saw that last year when they were emergency schooling, that they had that. Now the emergency schooling and homeschooling is way different, so different, and everything. But just the time together, people saw their kids differently. Some of the kids really shined. Some of the kids were being bullied and they didn't really know it. And so then, now they're shining and they're learning and they're growing and they bonded. There's some bonding that you just don't think that isn't going to be there.
Right.
But it's all part of this bigger picture of what we're trying to do, accomplish. And what I love about Bookshark is it's, you even have like did I see like even like a Walt Disney little small little curriculum, just fun little things as well too.
We do. We have the freebies. So you just go to bookshark.com/freebies, and there's several little unit studies that you can do that are fun. There's a Constitution study that's a 2-week study, and we have a U.S. elections lot book that you can get to go with that. Okay. So that's really cool. There is one piece of language arts I have not told you about. It's brand new. I'm excited about it. We have now a virtual assessment platform. So if you are in the need for having your kids be accountable to you, if they are trudging a little bit, because some kids like to trudge a little bit, and if you want to take the onus off of you and put it on the computer, you can say, if Joey comes and says, hey, I want to go play with so-and-so, well, let me look at the computer. It's no longer you saying you've got the homework. So we've got those pieces. So if you want to look at those pieces, go to booksharkvirtual.com, and there are samples there that you can enroll for and look at. But this year, we don't have it up on site yet, but it's coming up before the end of July, but probably next Thursday. And that is called LAMP. We are calling it LAMP because it is our language arts mentor program. So it will be part of that virtual piece for language arts, because we know that in the realm of homeschooling, correcting your children's creative expression pieces is the most difficult piece, because your children are personally invested in their writing. And if you, as the parent, go and say, oh, mark it up or do something, they're going to take that personally. And it becomes a contentious thing. Some people can do it and some can't. And it's also, even with teachers are taught to grade at a certain age range. So some teachers can't even, don't even really know. They know better than a lot of people, but they don't even know, okay, at 6th grade, they need to have this, or at 2nd grade, they need to have this. So that this program we have a teacher that he's certified AP. He's a high school language arts and had been for 30 years. He just retired last month, and he's going to be working with us, and he will be the one grading those pieces and giving feedback. So it will be on our virtual component for the language arts, and it is called LAMP, Language Arts Mentor Program. He's not teaching the class. He's just mentoring and grading.
Okay. I mean, that is huge. I mean, that is a monster part of it. And well, that's why I like Bookshark. I mean, you guys, you're not just sitting here and saying, hey, this is what we wrote 20 years ago.
Right.
You just keep on adding the freebies, you keep on adding, that virtual, which is awesome, and the LAMP. So we did have a question of, how do we get involved? What is the structure? Is it a per child, per grade, how do they kind of jump into the Bookshark world?
So Bookshark is by age range, not by grade. So we really encourage you, especially if you're a homeschool family, especially an independent homeschool family, combine your kids as well as you can by the age range. I don't recommend you start kids out at the lowest age range of any level. So like, let's say level B is for ages 6 to 8. If you have an only and you're teaching one child in that level, don't start them at that level if they're 6. Start them at that level if they're 7 or 8. And so, when I started level A with my son, who was 6, and it's for ages 5 to 7. You can go to the upper end too. It's really good to do that, because first year, second year, it might be okay. By 3rd and 4th, they're going to be past, and it's going to go over their head, and they're going to say they're bored, when really they're not bored. It's just over their head. So it's really by maturity that you have them there. So a lot of people do tests and say, oh, they're at this grade level when they're this younger age. Don't do that with our pieces. It doesn't work that way. You can adjust the math pieces and all those leveling type pieces. And like I said at the beginning, our language arts, we have those 5 different levels of language arts that are flexible for our first 3 history pieces. So that's one of those things. So the other thing is, we are by topic. So we start with cultures, then we do 2 years of introduction to world history, then we do 2 years of introduction to American history, back to cultures, world, and American, and so forth. So if you have 2 pods of kids, didn't know you were homeschooling, so you had them way far apart.
Yeah.
So you have 2 pods of kids. Let's say they are 12 and 13, and your younger 2 are 7 and 8. I would have them start with the ancient world history. They'd both be on B and G. So then you would have at least the same topics in the family. But anytime that you have any questions about how do we start with Bookshark, I have advisors that work that have used the program, their moms that work and use the program, and have done that for several years. And they are the gals that I have used in conventions. And so they know the material you can call in and say, I'd like to talk with an advisor to help you get set, because that's one of the first things that's hard is how do you figure out where you need to be with your family? How do I combine my kids? How does that work? All those different questions we are here to answer. That's one of the things that Bookshark really works on is customer service. The other thing is that and today was the first day of the sessions. We do have a Facebook group, and it's called Bookshark Boot Camp 2021. And that is where I do a series of 8 classes every week, once a week, starting July, goes through August. And I break down what I used to do as a workshop in place, and I'd usually have 75 to 100 people in there. And it was a great time, but it was a long workshop. And so last year we broke that up and made it onto a Facebook platform. And so I go through and I cut that workshop up and give it by classes. And so it just is, the workshop used to be called 12 Ways to Get Your Year Started Right with Bookshark. So it's that broken into those 8 segments. And then we also have a Q&A every week on Mondays after that, and a little bit of homework. So it's really to help you get settled solidly and understand how it all works. And language arts is one of those pieces that I talk about in there to help them understand, because it is a natural approach. It is a different approach that people aren't really sure about and don't really understand.
Okay. Well, I mean, what better advisors to have, or moms
yeah.
going through it? I mean,
Exactly.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to have someone literally advise you and help you,
Right.
build that. So
Yeah.
everybody,
and if anything's really tough, they throw it to me. So if you get me, yeah.
Well, that's what I've been telling everybody that's looking to the homeschool or starting the homeschool, from emergency to over to true homeschooling, is that there are some awesome, amazing people that have gone before us, that have, what they have done and what, and
Yep.
there's so many options that we have now that we didn't have when we were, going through. And so now you don't have to worry about it. You can actually have experts or have these beautiful things I've already written for you, like you were saying before, that you don't have to build it yourself.
Right.
You've already done all this, put this together and how it all blends together on there. So anybody watching, check out the exhibitor booth. There's tons of videos, tons of information. Go out to the website, and then if you're wondering or you're stuck on something or whatever, get a hold of them, and chat with an advisor, that someone that has gone before you and knows the ins and outs that help you set this up, for your family. And I've always enjoyed the Bookshark just because how it's, you just do it a little differently. There's a little bit, I mean, and it's beautiful, and it's quality stuff. And when we were doing the reviews last year, and everybody absolutely loved, the Bookshark stuff, on there. One other question, because you had mentioned when you're going through the language arts, that you go through a lot of reading books. Are these would these be books that you provide, or a library would have, or how does that work?
I'm glad that you asked that. So over the years, I've had a lot of different people say that they were on a really tight budget. And so the heart of our program is our instructor's guides. I would always say, get a new instructor's guide. You want the most updated guide. When I was done homeschooling, I was going to gift my guides to somebody that needed them. And I looked through them and I thought, I can't do that to them because the guides are updated so much that it wouldn't be fair to them to give them an old guide. So I stayed true to my word, even after I'd said that, and I threw them away, because you're best to get the most updated guide. Usually when people look at it and do it that way and get their books through the library or any other way, they'll do that 1 year and they find out that, number one, it makes it difficult, because every time a book is republished, they change the pagination. So every time they do that, we have to update our guides, but it makes it frustrating for the family when they're trying to figure out what pages to read. So if they don't have the most updated piece, that's hard. But also if they like go through and buy a book here or there from Amazon or wherever they're buying them from, they find that the shipping price ends up costing them probably more than they would have cost to buy it from us. So in the end, they typically find out it is a better choice of their time and their money to get it through us, because when you get the all subject package, you do get a 20% discount on everything that you get in that package. So it really gives you everything. It gives you a discount. You have everything that you need. And if you have a second student doing the same level of the reading with history and the science and perhaps the language arts, then all you need to get are the extra activity sheets or the consumable pieces. So it's not, again, the same amount of investment. You just do it together. And so it really does break it down that way too. Okay. So I highly recommend, just from experience, from seeing people do it, to just get the set, to get the discount, because it really does work that way, because your time is valuable. Just like I was saying earlier with burnout, you don't want to have to do that. And so over the years, there have been people who will say, if somebody asks them what they want for their birthday, they say a gift card for Bookshark, or, just get me a gift card so I can spend it on, the curriculum for the next year. So that's a fun way to do that too, to get that, to be able to spend that. Or there have been people that have baked bread and sold bread just to save their penny.
Yep. Okay. Well, good. I mean, that's really good to know. And another.
Sorry about that. I think I broke out, didn't I?
No, yeah. You're
sorry. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. No. But no. I mean, that makes sense to be able to buy everything, and especially utilize that discount,
right,
and everything. So.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Now, before we head out, I always ask: is there anything else that we might not have covered that might be on your a thought that you kind of want to let everybody know?
Yeah, I would say we are heavily customer service oriented. We want to be there for you. We want to help you in it. That's why we have that Facebook group. It's why we have the customer service lines that you can call in or email in. It's bold@bookshark.com that you can email and say, I'd like to talk to an advisor. I'd like to have questions on this. We want to be there for you. So that's our goal, is to support you. So don't ever get beyond that point of no return. If you are hitting a rock in your path, call or email, and we are here to help you. So we really want to support you, because we are, homeschool. We are about bonding with our families. We are about all of what you are going through, and you will get people that have experienced that. And if you have a question and don't feel you get it answered by one person, ask for somebody else. Ask for me. Get on Facebook and join that group. If you're new this year and you've ordered your set and you want to get set up and want to be successful, join that platform. So hope that you're there, and ask for help. Just ask for help. Don't think that you can't, because we're here for you.
Yeah, and everybody starts at different times, in in their homeschool journey and everything, and that's the beautiful thing that we have found, is the homeschool community is a community. That's the perfect word for it, and so people are there to help, and all you have to do is reach out to them, and let them know. So But Lynn, I appreciate the time that you gave us to kind of let us know a little bit about Bookshark and more about the process, and about how the language arts works, and how it's a little different on how it's built on there. And it's a beautiful way, because it does create that core critical thinking, which is so important. And you want your kids to stand out now.
Yep.
That's the place. That critical thinking, that it's that learning how to learn that is there. And that is probably, if you can teach your kids something, that would be it. That just that critical thinking and learning how to learn, and they can just do all kinds of cool stuff, you know.
You will definitely give them that firm foundation to be an adult. I went to 3 graduations this year and I said, welcome to adulting, you know, because now you're there. And that's, I think, the goal we all have is that we want our kids to be successful. And in jobs, if they show a piece that is just brighter because they are being more thoughtful, they're being more thoughtful in the process of the job and what there needs to be, and not just doing what they're told, but doing that and then beyond, their employer is going to appreciate that.
Yes, they're really going to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, that is one thing they're going to appreciate. That I mean, my 2 boys, they are shining, and I mean, they're nice kids, you know. 1, but then 2, there's just something different about them, and it's shining through. And both companies have asked them, like, okay, what's the secret sauce? Where can we find more of you? And they've all pointed them to, you look at the homeschool community, looking for more homeschoolers. And
yep.
I think Chick-fil-A was onto something. You know, they hired a lot of homeschoolers.
Yep.
You know,
and I think the right colleges ask that same question.
Yeah. You know, and that's one thing. When we had our college fair, these colleges, some of them I would never have guessed that would be really open to homeschoolers. They're like, we love homeschoolers. Yeah. We absolutely love them. They're great citizens inside of our community. 1, you know, so we don't have to fully worry about them. You know,
they know how to
2,
study.
Yeah, they already know how to do the type of studying that college is all about, you know. And the public schools, you almost have to reteach them, you know, of how, and I think that's where you get a lot of frustration, a lot of changing in courses and changing this and changing colleges and dropping out when it's a public, because they get there and they don't have that next thought. They just have memorized for a test, and that's all they've been kind of taught, unfortunately. You know, but with I would just encourage anybody that you're looking for a language arts program. If you're looking for something, run to Bookshark and really check them out. It's a really cool system, and the reviews are just amazing. You know, you do have an army of people have our customers and advisors and everything else. So that says a lot, you know. That says a lot. So, but everybody just jump in, click on the links. And Lynn, thank you so much for the time. And we'll have to bring you on even more of these and really kind of talk. You know, we'll get some questions and we'll do something.
Sounds like a plan. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, and enjoy your day.
Thank you.